Hi everyone, welcome to another video. It's going to be a little different today. I do have a simple baby card that I want to share with you, but this video is part of a larger group blog hop. We're throwing a virtual baby shower for one of the owners of Clair stamps. We on the design team all love being a part of this design team for Clair. The owners are incredibly generous, and so we wanted to give back to Christy. She just had a new grandbaby, an absolutely adorable little baby, but we wanted to show her some love and show her how much we really appreciate her patience with us, her generosity. I went ahead and made this crocheted baby blanket. It was a great excuse for me to kind of whip up one of these as well while I was on vacation. I sent that off, but I also sent off a handmade card that I made with this. Now, as I said, this is part of a larger group. If you want to head down to my blog, that's going to be down in the description box below, the link for that. And you can see the rest of the design team's projects that we all sent over to Christy as well. For my card today, I'm going to be using the new baby stamp set from Clair. I'm going to use this stamp set for the entire card, front and back, no other stamp set. I love making cards like this where I only use one stamp set for the entire thing. And this is just a great one to have for little new baby. Now on the front of my card, I want to go ahead and blend a background for this, and I wanted it to be very soft and pastel. I wanted to kind of match the blanket that I made. So I'm coming in with some Caffeinated inks. I am not great at soft blending, so I grabbed these new to me stencil brushes from Clarity, and I'm going to do some ink blending. This is the fastest and best way I found to get a soft background for me because I don't have the lightest touch. This is what works for me. You could always use your blending tools as well, but if you're kind of like me and you've got a heavy hand, that doesn't always work out so well. So I'm using polished sugared lavender and mint to be. Now this is one of those areas where you can completely customize your card. You could do an ombre here if you wanted to make it a girl, do a pink ombre or a purple ombre. If you don't know the sex of the baby, or you just want to make it a unisex card and make a bunch of these, you could go in with greens, you could go in with yellows, that kind of thing. I wanted to kind of mix it up and match the blanket that I made, so that's why I'm going in with these colors today. And I found the best way to do blending with these brushes really isn't to go in circles for me. It's kind of to go back and forth across the card like I'm doing here. That's what gave me the best blend. Play around with these, see what works for you. But I'm blending on an A2 white cardstock base. I went ahead and masked off the back of my card. That way I didn't get any ink on the back of it, and I could really go to town with blending. Now once I was done, I went ahead and peeled off that masking tape. I like to just kind of peel it straight back on itself. That way I don't get any rips. If you do get small tears, just use a sanding block or the sanding eraser to kind of take away those tears. You won't even see them. You won't know they're there. Now I set that aside once I was done with the card base, and I'm going to work on some other pieces that I'll be attaching to the front of the card. I grabbed the onesie from the stamp set, and I'm going to stamp that down with VersaFine Clair Nocturne ink. I wanted this to be really crisply stamped because I'm going to leave this plain white. I will add a little embellishment to it later on, but I wanted to make sure that it was nice and crisp and it didn't have any bleeding whatsoever. Then I'm coming in with this little giraffe stamp. I stamped it with the VersaFine Nocturne ink as well, and I wanted to go ahead and color him in very quickly. So I grabbed the Shea Butter ink pad from Caffeinated, and I'm grabbing another one of those brushes, keeping with the pastel theme here. I'm just going to build up the color until I'm happy with the intensity. This is a great way if you're coloring it in images and you want them nice and soft. These brushes are the way to go. So I very quickly colored that in. I also used a brown alcohol marker and colored in the little dots on him. I fussy cut both him and the onesie out. Now the great thing about Clair, if you don't want a fussy cut, I cut right up to the lines with these, but you could also leave a little border around them. That would be adorable on this card. And if you wanted to do that and you have an electronic cutter, you do get the free SVG cut files with any Clair stamp set that you buy. You get them as an automatic download. I attached that little giraffe to the onesie as the embellishment with some dimensional adhesive, and then I'm going to go ahead and add this to a craft panel. But I wanted to first do a little bit of stamping on that to kind of highlight the onesie. So I grabbed these two little leaf stamps. They're like little ferns, I guess you could say. They've got hearts on them. They're adorable. These come in the stamp set as well. And I'm using my Misty to stamp them down on two corners on the left side, um, both the bottom and the top corners. I'm using that same VersaFine Clair Nocturne ink, and I'll go ahead and stamp those down very quickly. I'm doing a double stamp since I'm using my Misty, and then to get them exactly centered in the exact same place on the opposite side, I just flip over my craft panel there and stamp those down on the opposite side. Now I cut this craft panel with a tonic die set, and I also cut a white cardstock mat to go behind it that has some scallops on it. Now if you have any questions about die sets, colors that I'm using, ink colors, stamp sets, all that great stuff, I'm going to leave all of those links down below in the description box so you can easily find what products I'm working with, and it just helps everybody out, and it helps me in case I don't mention something or I mess up on color names, which I do all the time. I colored in those little leaf stamps with a green alcohol marker. Then I added my craft mat onto that white cardstock mat with some double-sided adhesive. I'm popping that onesie up right in the center of the craft panel with some dimensional adhesive. And then I'm going to flip that over, add some more dimensional adhesive to that entire stack, and I'll go ahead and place that on the card base itself. Now I knew I was sending this card in a box along with the blanket, so it wasn't going through the mail by itself. So I added about 3 layers of dimensional adhesive. If you're sending this by itself with like a gift card or something, you might want to cut down on the dimensional adhesive just so you know it goes through the mail well, or add some padding or put it in a padded envelope itself. There's a closer look at the finished outside of the card. So then it was time to move on to the inside. Again, I'm using the same stamp set, the New Baby stamp set, and in it has this great sentiment builder. I love stamp sets like this, so I went ahead and grabbed the Congrats, which is this gorgeous scripty font. I stamped that down with the same VersaFine Clair Nocturne ink. Right underneath that, I'm going to stamp On Your, which is its own little sentiment. And then it's got all these finishing sayings. So you've got boy, girl, blessing, which I'm using here. You've also got some funny ones like tax deduction in there. So you could stamp that down. And I went ahead and stamped those down with the VersaFine Clair Nocturne ink. Then I came in with the little handprint and footprint stamps that are also included in the stamp set. There are a lot of stamps in that set. And I grabbed some inks from Catherine Pooler and stamped those on both sides of the sentiment. That finished off the inside of the card as well. I love the way this turned out, and I love that I only had to use one stamp set. I even decorated the envelope as well. That's going to do it for me today. There are going to be links on the left side of your screen that you can click on. You can also subscribe to my channel over there. All of my social media links are down in the description box. That's going to do it for me. Happy crafting, everyone.